Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Across the Pitch, where MLS is back. Now that the League's Cup break is over, it feels almost like we're starting a new season. And this Saturday, we're going to get a game between two teams who really wish we were starting a new season. Atlanta United visiting CF Montreal. What will happen when two of the worst teams in MLS this season clash? We're about to break that down, and we have a very special guest to do that. Very first guest that we had on this show, Andy Coronado of The Ball is Round Montreal. Andy, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, man. I think you said it all. I mean, it's two of the worst teams in the MLS, and I mean, the first time around we met, we had a whole different conversation going. I really wish we could replay what we said that first week, like now. How optimistic we both were at that point, and what we're
Yeah,
at now. Oh, jeez.
I thought for sure that we would at least be in a different spot, but I thought we'd be top three, not bottom three. But uh, this is where we're at now, and we're what? There's like 10 games left in the season. Uh, it's brutal, man.
No, it's brutal. I mean, as it was well known, as is well known around the league. The Saputo brothers and Gabriel Gervais sent out a letter to the fans, apologizing for having a terrible season and messing everything up. Which just kind of goes to show where we're at today. We're just like, let's just get this done with. And guess how many signings CF Montreal has done since the window has opened?
I know they've made one.
One guy, one one.
Guess what club that was from?
We're laughing to not cry,
Oh
right?
yeah, no, dude. That's been the story for like the last 6 months for us. But by the way, dude, I mean, now that you brought it up, I kind of want to ask you about that
Yeah,
letter. I mean, it it caught my attention because I'm like, I didn't know clubs actually did this. I feel like Atlanta United fans have been asking for the front office to do that this season because really, I mean, it's been far, far below
yeah.
expectations for Atlanta. But what was your reaction to seeing that letter?
Can I say the truth? I mean,
Go ahead.
I mean, everybody received that notification of that letter at 5 a.m. in the morning. Some people went nuts about the time that it got sent out, but who cares? At the end of the day, is the action that got sent out, right? I looked at it and I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "What is happening right now?" And excuse the language, but it was just it was crazy because again, like you said, it's not very common for clubs to do that. It's not very common. Like it's not every season that, but they literally took ownership and said, "This is a rebuild." Because every season it felt like yes, we kept doing terrible, 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 but beyond it went beyond that. It wasn't just about it being terrible. It also was about them like just saying, "Oh, guys, relax. We're just transitioning into a new season. We're just transitioning." But this time around, when they sent the letter, they said, "Forget a transition. This is a full-on rebuild." So it made it very clear what they're doing in that sense. There is no more of transition. We're not transitioning into anything. It's a full-on rebuild. And for Montreal fans, it makes a little bit more sense the word rebuild because, as you guys know, probably over there, Montreal sports is hockey, right? And the Montreal Canadiens just went through a full-on rebuild, so they understand the word rebuild, even though they're two completely separate sports. So they it just in that sense to my reaction to the letter and the reaction of the fans, not just Andy, but is cool. You took ownership. You said you messed up. Now what? Now what's the next step? So we laughed about it a little bit earlier about how many signings we've had. We've had two, and one of them is a loan from their sister club Bologna. Um, and there's been a lot of players that have left. But what now? What now? Like, well, what's that rebuild? We're to square one. And today, rumors come out that the starting goalie might be transferred outside to Europe. So little things like this, Henry, that it's really like what now? And we talked about this in the Ball is Wrong with Elias, where we said every signing from this day forward will be over analyzed by CF Montreal fans to really learn what this rebuild is about and what direction they're heading into. So exciting times, as you know. I'm sure you know that whenever you hear the word rebuild, it's exciting because they're clearly building towards something. Atlanta feels like already a built project, like with all the signings that you guys have had, and you're actually getting rid of young players too, which is. I know we're not talking about Atlanta, we're talking about Montreal, but it's just you kind of see it from a distance, right? So that's my reaction to the letter.
Yeah, I mean, I think the two kind of go together if you
Yeah,
think about it, especially, I mean, what with the Efrain Morales trade and I mean that shocked all of us here because he had started breaking into the starting 11 and then okay, he started 5 games and just whoop, he's gone.
yeah,
And then another promising young center back in Noah Cobb was loaned out to Colorado, and there's a purchase option there, so there's a chance he won't be back.
yeah.
It's a weird scenario here in Atlanta because we're used over the past couple of years with Garth Lagerwey. We're used to very slow transfer windows. We're used to, not a whole lot of business, but when it gets done, it's like at the end of the window. This time, like the business started way before the window even began. Uh,
Yeah,
Trading Sean De Silva to St. Louis, loaning Edwin Mosquera to Millonarios, uh, you know, cutting players and then signing them and all of a sudden like all the businesses happen and we're only what like a couple weeks into the window.
yeah.
It's crazy. It's something that we're not used to, but it shows that this front office is willing,
Desperate.
I guess, to make the changes that they
Yeah,
know are necessary because this season hasn't gone to plan. But going back to Montreal,
yeah,
they promise concrete steps over the next few windows. So I think while sending this letter, clearly, okay, yes, you recognize that it hasn't been up to expectations, that you'll have to do better, that this is a rebuild. Great. I think that buys you time, but you need to show now that
yeah.
you have, that you're really working towards something. They have to be able to see the vision, the fans. And I think it's the same case in Atlanta because for the past 5 years, we've been treated to nothing but mediocrity, for
Mm,
being honest. It hasn't been up to expectations for a club that came into this league competing for trophies, basically.
yeah,
And the fans have voiced their frustration. You've had a lot of fans posting on social media like, we're done with the season tickets because the prices keep going up and the
yeah.
team doesn't get better. And these past few games, especially in Leagues Cup, because people don't really care much about Leagues Cup here, they played a completely meaningless game because Atlas and Atlanta were both eliminated before the game even started. Uh, so they played a completely meaningless game in front of an almost empty stadium.
Oh no way!
Yep,
And it was a great game too. They won 5-1, right? Five to four to
four
one.
to one.
Yeah,
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 but it was a great game. Their
yeah,
first win in like 2 months.
yeah,
But yeah, it was very empty, and
yeah.
that's not
That's not good.
characteristic
Yeah,
for
that's not good.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it
Yeah.
shows you just how upset the fans are.
Yeah, and
So
just to kind of add on to the letter, ever since that letter was released to the owners, it not I talked about the fans' perspective, but there's also been the players' perspective, where the players have they seem to be playing a lot looser, a lot like the responsibility has kind of been taken off of them, and also the coaches, right? Like said, we messed up. It's not the players. We're the ones that messed up, and since that letter, I believe we've had I want to say 3 victories and 1 loss. The last league's couple that lost, but victories in all competitions, including against the New England Revolution, which is another story. But the point being is they the fans are you see it from the players' perspective where they said a lot of them came out to the press the day after and they said, you know, we needed this. We need we think we have the right people. It looks like the organization is wants to really do things right this time around, which is again this was from the ones that have been there for a long time in the organization, right? They've seen the ups and downs, the good, the mediocrity, as you mentioned. um, and now it's just now what now what are we going to do? Are we going to continue patching it up, continue getting a 26-year-old striker that needs a second chance, or are we going to get an actual solidified striker or winger in their prime that just like wants to live in Montreal and wants to help the team, compete? So it happened back in 2014. A lot of people maybe forgot, but in 2014 it happened where the actual owner Joey Saputo put out a tweet that w- went crazy, where he pretty much he didn't say it like the letter said where he messed up. He's just like the fans deserve better. there will be changes coming. It was a short tweet, but it said a lot. And sure enough, he freaking flipped the team around at that point, signings, out his signing, but it took time. And he got a lot of older players. But we'll see. We'll see, because this team is made up of a lot of young guys, and the veterans, Henry, they're like 30, 29 veterans. And we're not talking about a Thomas Mueller here. We're not talking about Miguel Almiron that has, been had his time in Europe that he did really well in. And like this is a respected veteran, and that's what we need in this locker room. So we'll see.
We will see indeed. For now, let's
Yeah.
kind of turn back the clock to the beginning of the season when we were hopeful, right? We started the yeah. Let's just go ahead and get it over with, dude. We have the chance to look back at what was the first game of this season. You and I, we had no idea what was in store for us. We thought that this was a start of a promising campaign.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not the case. And for Montreal, it was also, I guess, I don't know, not a great start to what ended up being a not great campaign. But going back to this match, what did you think of the game?
Well, look, I'm gonna laugh at that. At that point, we had Laurent Courtois as a coach. We were playing a completely different formation. I'm not even looking at the details of the lineups right now of that time, but I mean, it was. I remember after that game, kind of feeling like, well, I mean, it's Atlanta United, and Atlanta United spent a lot of money, so this is kind of expected. And you know what? We went to Atlanta and scored 2 goals, which is not bad. It's. I think we have something to build off of here. This was the first game off of a seven game road trip that we were doing, and this was the first one. And so we knew that this was going to be a rough start, and it was going to be rough on the players. So much time away from home. But it just felt like we could something you could build off of, just because it was a decent game. And I think everybody was surprised at how much CF Montreal put up a fight against a really good Atlanta United team. Little did we know. But it's they put up a fight. I think they made a lot of Atlanta United fans probably a little bit concerned as to how competitive they were. But we didn't, again, it was just the first game, and we said there's signs of good. And the season before, Atlanta United had eliminated CF Montreal in the play-in. But it was just a lot of things that felt good about. There was a lot of fun offense and stuff. But it was the beginning of the end for Laurent Courtois for that. So yeah, that's the feeling I remember. Jeez, it feels like 3 years ago, this game we're talking about.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, man. But you mentioned it. Laurent Courtois, just 5 games into the season, gets the sack, 4 losses and a draw. What were your initial reactions to that news? And when you look back now, do you think that was the right decision?
Can you replay the reaction I had about the letter when I received? Because it was the same one. It feels like every little news that comes out of this team is the same reaction. No, it definitely was something that was not expected. We still speak about it today because we have to. It is part of the season, of the 2025 season. But I mean, it's hard to say whether it was a good decision, bad decision. It just feels like it was too soon. A lot of people, including myself, felt that Laurent Courtois should have been given at least a chance to coach 1 or 2 teams, 1 or 2 games in Montreal. As I mentioned, it was the beginning of a 7-game road trip. So it's I think for any team, not just Montreal, any team, to judge a coach or a players based on their performances on the road, especially when it's 7 games on the road. So 5 games on the road, they obviously 5 losses. It wasn't pretty. There were storylines developing between those games, and one player being left on the bench, and is Laurent Courtois like really losing his locker room? Like, it was just a lot of the players came out on the field like flat. They didn't seem to have energy, any motivation. They seem to be doing the same thing over and over again. So there were a lot of questions asked, and so when they let him go, again, I think you guys probably know this as well, is the moment you have a new coach, a new player, whatever, you're like, yay, something new, something great, But it was just the assistant coach that was taking over, and people wanted to know maybe this is going to be different if it, but he lost. He lost, I think, the next two games, Marco Donadel, on the road again, the end of the 7 game road trip. Um, so it was a lot of people said, oh, it's maybe Laurent Courtois coaching. But if we speak today, based on everything we've seen, Laurent Courtois could have been here today, the same thing, and it would have probably been the same record. I don't know if better, but it would have been the same record just because the squad is not good. The combination of players you have now, and by the way, Marco Donadel, the moment he came in, he completely changed the tactics of the team. We used to go in a back three. Now, since he's taken over, it's been a back four, wingers, and obviously it's a team it's a team of misfits because you have players that are meant to play wing backs and they don't know whether to place them on right back, left back, or wingers. You're not sure, so it's very very confusing. And there's a lot of injuries, also a lot of injuries, and players that have been sold and never replaced, like Nathan Saliba. As you can see, he scored against Atlanta, one of the goals. He's never been replaced. He was a midfielder, and now you have Samuel Piant and Victor Latour being run down to the ground. So yeah, that was my reaction to Laurent Courtois, and it's not his fault. It's not his fault. Was he the best coach Montreal could have had? I don't know. That's very hard to answer. But he was trying to do what he could with the terrible squad that he was set up with, which is the truth. I did have one question for you. Just one question, okay?
Yeah, go
How
ahead.
did it feel? How did it feel for you to see Gonzalo Pineda back in the Atlanta building?
It felt good, and here's the thing. Gonzalo Pineda is such a great guy. Like you really like talking to him. He's a really nice guy, very friendly. He's the first manager that I got to work with while I was covering the team. When I started covering it, he was a manager, and he was always a very chill dude. Uh, he was really cool when I was asking questions, even if they were like slightly like you know asking him about decisions that he made and stuff like that. He
Yeah,
took like the time to explain it. And he'd also come to us at training sessions. I remember he'd come to the media and be like, okay, so here's what we're working on today. This drill does that, and he explains everything, right? And I thought that was really cool to have kind of that knowledge of what he's trying to do.
yeah,
And I really feel for him because you knew that he was trying to do his best to get this team to work. And it just wasn't working for whatever reason.
okay,
So I mean, here it hasn't worked, and partially, I mean, partially the roster wasn't great. Secretly, like I think a lot of the reason why Atlanta looked good in 2023 was because you had Thiago Almada, who is probably one of the most talented players to ever play in this league,
yeah,
and Yorgos Yakimakis, who is one of the most prolific goal scorers that we have seen, and in the form that he was back then, that connection is wild. So I think they were a major part of why this team was even mid, but I think without them, like this team doesn't like this team is where it is right now.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so it's yeah, it felt good to have him back. We didn't actually get to talk to him. We were in the press conference room, and we waited for like 40 minutes, and he didn't show up. So we all just kind of left. But yeah, I really wish I could have seen him and
yeah.
said hi. He's a really cool dude again. So I wish him all the best.
I think he's had a tough competition too, and losing 4-1, especially to your old employer, I don't think you want to show your face too long either. So completely feel for him. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, had to had to ask
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's true. No, I certainly feel for him, and I understand. I wouldn't want to do that either. But let's talk about Saturday's game. And you sent
Yes,
me
sir.
your predicted 11 really quickly. Can you talk me through this lineup and highlight some of the key players we need to look out for?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you guys in Atlanta probably know more about Efrain Morales than I do. Just the only reason why I put him there was because he started the last game, and he's been starting the past 2 games, and I mean, he again, it's a small tape. So just that goalie, I put Thomas Gillier. He's the one that the Bologna loan, that is the prospect goalie that started the last game, and it looks like he's something exciting. So we'll and there's been, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, rumors that maybe the goalkeeper is part of transfer rumors. So I don't know if they're going to want to rest him to maybe not risk any injury, and at the same time, they probably want to see more from Thomas Gillier. David Bugay and Luca Petrasso on the right back, left back have both been pretty much playing every game, and not necessarily because they're good. I think they are very skilled. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, but um, there's no other options. I told you it's a team of misfits, and there's a lot of holes to be filled, including backups for right back and left back. Fernando Alvarez, personally, not a fan, not much of a fan. I feel he's very he's very vulnerable in the back line, and but maybe with time and patience, he'll get better. I think everybody knows around the league who Samuel Piet is. I don't have much to say about him. He's a great defensive midfielder, but he's been struggling also with his health. That he can't give full 90 minutes. He's had some kind of vertigo that started back in the Houston game. Victor Rotori, again, if Nathan Saliba was in the picture, he would have been the one, kind of going either replacing him or maybe Nathan Saliba replacing. But he's been playing again every single game for almost 90 minutes because there's nobody to replace him. He shows flashes of what could be a very interesting player. He comes from the CPL, which is always a source of pride for the CPL, the Canadian Premier League. Dante Seeley, young winger. I put him there because this part, the winger part, is something that Marco Donadel has played around a lot with. So not sure, but Dante Seeley has played a major part in this season. Again, he's one of the only natural wingers in this team, besides the other guy on the other side, Hennady Sinchuk, who is a prospect. I believe he's 18 years old, from Ukraine. And he's a player that the team invested a lot of money in, and also came through the Bologna scout team. So they're expected for him to be a top performer, a big project. And honestly, he's shown flashes of something interesting, and he's adapted quicker. I believe what's been quicker than we thought to the league, to the physicality of the league, and teams in the MLS have been testing him. Players have been testing him. They've been physical. They've been tackling him. They haven't been, as I'm sure you've seen in the past. New kid, the veterans are a little bit hungry to show him up around the league, but he's been getting right back up. He was out for a few months, and you would have thought he was a little bit frail, but he's not at all scared of any kind of contact. Prince Owosu has been the surprise of the season. I believe he's the MVP so far of this team. He scored, I believe, because in the Leagues Cup he also scored like 2 goals, and MLS he's scored 10, I want to say. And anyways, he's the leading scorer of the team by far, and he's been replacing an injured Giacomo Vrioni, who's our only designated player in the team, who should be the one scoring 12, 13 goals this season. But Prince Owusu was supposed to be his replacement, and instead has shown that he's a quality starter in a season that really sucks. So I think that summarizes the lineup. Yeah. And Caden Clark. I think everybody knows who Caden Clark is. He's had a terrible start to the season, hasn't done much. As a matter of fact, in the Atlanta game, I believe he was also a starter, but he started it maybe as a midfield. But during Laurent Courtois' last few games as coach, he actually put him back as a left back, which is why he had left Minnesota. But then once he went to Marco Donadel, he went more as a winger, as a 10, but hasn't played well. But in the Leagues Cup, I know everybody noticed that he had an assist in the last game to Prince Owosu. He's picked it up, and he seems to have really bought into Marco Donadel's game plan, and it's obvious. It's obvious that he's different. He's linked up. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can actually bring that back to MLS the way he played in the Leagues Cup. We'll see.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Efrain Morales. As you said, he was one of our homegrown players, and traded over to Montreal. He started your last 2 Leagues Cup games, as far as I understand, and he got a goal against Toluca, which was pretty cool. Just from these couple of games that he's played, what are your thoughts on him so far?
I mean, he's a big boy. He's a big boy. I mean, he's the biggest of all of our center backs in the team, and it's very obvious he's not afraid to be physical. That's the impression I'm getting. He's not afraid to be physical. But I feel like it's the same thing that happened with George Campbell at the beginning, where George Campbell was also a big boy. He was one of the bigger boys in the back line. Another Atlanta United product, and I think one of the biggest things that George Campbell learned, and we saw this season before he got transferred out, well deserved because he was the MVP right next to Prince Owusu, is that he learned how to use his body. He learned how to position himself, how to be physical without being over aggressive, without putting himself in a bad position with a yellow card or red card. And but it took time. It took time for him to learn how to use it and how to be effective defensively while also being effective offensively. And I think it's something that's what Efrain Morales is going to have to learn in the next few weeks, and he's going to have to learn it quickly because right behind them there's Jalen Neal, or right next to him he could potentially be playing with Jalen Neal, who's coming back from injury, who also showed that he's very not necessarily physical, but he's very athletic. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see his development as far as how he kind of learns to be his own say finds his own profile as a center back, what he wants to define himself as. So yeah, we'll see.
One of the things that I really liked about him, the few minutes that we saw him play with the first team, uh, yes, he's physical. He's not afraid to use his strength. We saw him a couple times, kind of really
Yeah,
bossing around
yeah,
some forwards. Christian Benteke, he basically eliminated in that DC United game. Wilfred Zaha, he showed him what's up. He ran into him a couple times, like showed him like, yeah, you're not getting through. And then literally they took him out of that game against Charlotte, and Charlotte scores 3 goals to win the game. So that tells you kind of how important he was. Yeah, he's a confident defender. He's great. And also, for me, he's good with the ball. He's not afraid to push forward and kind of try to find an incisive pass. And we saw that quite a bit um, because of how Ronnie Dyla likes to play, where, you know, he's trying to get the ball to the forward players as fast as possible and play kind of as direct as you can without, just like lobbing it forward
yeah,
like a long ball. So he's not afraid to step forward and really help get the ball to like a Miguel Almiron or something like that. So I think for y'all, he's going to be an interesting player. Like you said, seeing how he develops over there, based on, I guess, what Marco Donadel wants to
yeah,
develop more in his game, because he can be like the I guess traditional kind of center back if you really need him to be, but he works as well as more of a ball playing center back if that's something that his
yeah.
system
Well, no,
requires.
Marco Donadel, the way he likes to play, it's kind of strange. Maybe it's not strange, whatever. He likes to place his center backs to the almost as when they have the ball, when CF Montreal has the ball, he'll put the center backs to the almost as right back and left back, and have the midfielders come down to replace the center backs, while the right back and right back and left back go in as midfields. So the point is, usually most of the time, the goalie, in this case Thomas Gillier or Jonathan Sirois, will go ahead and they'll send it long to Prince Owusu, who has learned very well to use his body to capture the ball, and then kind of spread it from there to Henadi Sinchek, Dante Sili, or whatnot. Um, but yeah, the way he, on defense, whenever they're playing on defense, the way Marco Donadel likes to use his center backs is really man to man. They really like to cover them, and then you choose your target. If it's going to be Atlanta, I don't know, if Ray Morales might be matched up against Miguel Almiron. I don't know. They'll choose a target, and really they have to take ownership. So of their offensive, it's not really on zone. It's not really they have to take of the ownership of their offensive player. It was kind of an exaggerated way that they used to do it back then, and back in April when Marco Dundell first took over. It was very exaggerated. The man, I mean, you had moments where George Campbell was all the way in the goalie because the striker had taken him up all the way there, and George Campbell said, "Okay, the striker is going to the all the way to the goalie. I'm gonna follow it." So at some point, it's like, okay, well, you kind of got to read the game, because teams started to take advantage of that. Let's just take George Campbell out of the game by putting the striker all the way in the corner. Now George Campbell is no longer there. Now we have I don't know, Prince Owusu as a center back because he had to go back. So it was just weird. So, anyways, just to tell you how Marco Donadel plays.
We've reached the part of the show where we get the score predictions. Andy, how do you think this game ends?
Damn it, that's a good question. I haven't even thought of that. I'll say 3-1 Montreal. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Just because Joel Waterman's not there.
is he like a lot of a
Yeah,
liability
he
or?
got a red card in the last game in the Leagues Cup, and he also got a red card against Toronto. Anyways, that's a whole different thing. He's a hothead. So yeah, yeah.
All right then. Who scores?
Prince Owusu. He's been scoring nonstop. I'll say a late goal by Oger Escobar, yeah, another young prospect, and hopefully Henry Centric. I think that would be his first goal, if I'm not mistaken.
We'll see what happens on Saturday. Andy, where can
Look,
people find
we're
you?
on every Sunday night at the Ball is Around. You guys can find us on YouTube, Blue Sky, Instagram, and all social media. We're there. 7:30. We do live shows where we talk about CF Montreal, Roses FC, Canada, and women's and men's national team. And yeah, that's where you can find us.
Be sure to check out the website, scarvesandspikes.com, for all your news, analysis, opinions, all sorts of stuff. I have already the next article on my Risers and Fallers series out now, so check that out. And soon enough, we're going to have the full interview article of my talk with Director of Methodology, Javier Perez. In the meantime, check out that. Check out check out the shop where you can get yourself some sweet hats. We got t-shirts. We got tons of cool stuff for you to get and support the show. Another way you can support the show is by joining the Patreon, starting at $1.17 a month. You can get access to several exclusive perks, including our awesome Discord. We have an awesome community there, and exclusive content. We have our mailbags, we have our unfiltered series, and we post interview audio there. So if you want to listen to the entire almost 30-minute chat that I had with Javier Perez about the academy and all these the promising youth that we have coming up, and I guess the future
Yeah,
CF
let's
Montreal
go.
players. Uh, be sure to join the Patreon so you can listen in on how the academy is developing.